going, guys? I want to go over my draft for Season 8 of the MBL. So what the MBL is, it's kind of a modified Ubers League that a lot of mons that would normally be banned in a typical draft are actually allowed now, but most of those have restrictions on them. I have a list of them all right here. Um, some overall thoughts that I have on them are, I think that Tapu Lele is still going to be incredibly good. And personally, if I had the decision, I probably would have just made it telepathy because I still think this is going to be like better than probably everything else there is available. Um, Ho-Oh is, I don't think it even got drafted because without having any form of recovery, it's really just going to struggle to be able to reliably like get onto the field with rocks and everything like that. And it just requires a lot of support that there's a lot of other flying types or fire types that you could use instead. Um, so the plan that I had was I had the 12th pick, so I wasn't really sure what was going to come to me. And I was originally planning on getting Jirachi in the first round because I was pretty confident that would make it to the 12th pick, and then I was going to try to build some form of a rain team around that. But that did not happen, and I think Jirachi got taken the second overall pick, which I was really surprised about. So I just kind of ended up having to do my draft on the fly at that point because I didn't really want to do rain unless I could get something like Jirachi that just could function really well with or without it. And so I wasn't really sure what I was going to do after that. I was hoping that Darkrai was going to make it to me, but I didn't really think it was going to make it that far. And it got taken a couple picks before me. But I am happy with what my pick was, and that was Mega Kangaskhan. And Mega Kangaskhan is really just all around really good. It's bulky, it's strong. Parental Bond is probably one of the best abilities in the game, and it just is able to abuse that really hard with the moves that it has. It basically gets Serene Grace in a sense with having like two opportunities to get a pair with Body Slam or something like that. Has a couple forms of priority in Fake Out and Sucker Punch, and has really good coverage moves, being the Elemental Punches, Earthquake, Crunch, stuff like that. Power Up Punch almost acts as a Swords Dance that does damage since it gets two hits from it. And then it even gets Wish for recovery if I end up needing to do that with it. So I thought this would just be a really good mon to build around just because it's just generally good and can kind of fit on whatever team I think I'll end up moving forward with. So my next pick, I knew that I just wanted to support Mega Kangaskhan, and I did that by drafting Deoxys Defense. And the main reason I did this was to get a fighting switch in, and obviously Deoxys being a bulky psychic takes those hits very well. And then Kangaskhan can also take ghost type attacks and can sponge knockoffs pretty well, so then that they kind of support each other in that sense. And then I also wanted something I could just hazard stack reliably with, and this is possibly the best hazard stacker in the format. Getting rocks and spikes along with reliable recovery, and lots of coverage moves even, so I could potentially run like a offensive set with like Calm Mind or something like that if I ever wanted to do that. But the main reason I got this was just for hazard stacking and to have a bulky psychic to support Mega Kangaskhan. Then my next pick was Thunderous Therian. I wanted to get a really strong special attacker, and Thunderous T was kind of in the middle between like being really really good but also being budget. And I felt like this is kind of a good balance between the two. And it has really good coverage. Obviously, it's going to be using electric moves most of the time, but I can run Focus Blast, Dark Pulse, Grass Knot, Hidden Powers. I could even defog if I wanted to. I'm not sure if I ever will do that, but it's going to be an option for me. And then this is also one of my Z users, so I could do I could get accurate focus blasts doing that, or just fire off extremely strong electric moves too. That'll really be able to break through my opponent's team. I could also run Scarf, Specs, um, Agility, Nasty Plot. I think I'll be able to do a lot with this throughout the season. Volt Absorb is a really good ability, granting me an electric immunity. And yeah, I like this mon a lot, and I'm glad I was able to get it. My next pick was Starmie, and as you all probably could guess, the main appeal for Starmie was Rapid Spin. Since I have Deoxys and that'll be hazard stacking, I wanted to be able to remove hazards on my side of the field without um, taking away the ones that I set on theirs. And Starmie's definitely one of the best spinners in the game, and it's versatile. It can be bulkier, it could be offensive. I could run Life Orb, really kind of whatever I want. I could. It has good coverage, so it's going to be hard to switch into, and it has really good abilities between Analytic and Natural Cure that helps to make it more diverse also. And then I could even run like a Reflect type set or something like that too to potentially catch my opponent off guard. Then my next pick was Rabambi, and this is mainly for Sticky Web, because I think having Thunderous and Mega Kangaskhan under webs could be really scary, and they could just kind of run through my opponent's team under the right conditions with webs up. But Rabambi also could be a decent like late game cleaner with Quiver Dance, and then like Moonblast, Bug Buzz, Psychic, moves like that that can just kind of hit things really hard at +1. Um, it could be a defogger too if I need it to be. And then it also gets aromatherapy, so that way if Mega Kangaskhan gets burned or paralyzed early in the game, I could send this back out to heal up Mega Kangaskhan to keep that healthy. Then Rabambi is also extremely fast at base 124 speed, and that'll help me to keep kind of being able to put pressure on my opponent to always try to have a faster mon than them. My next pick was Virizion, and this is one that I had in mind the whole draft that I really wanted. And the main reason for that is because it has a grass typing, which allows it to resist ground and water, which I was both kind of weak to at the moment. And it's very diverse in its move pool and what it can do. I could run SD, I could run Calm Mind, I've seen Assault Vest. It has very good special defense at 129. And then also the ability Justified is going to be really helpful because since I have 2 psychic types already, obviously I'm going to be prone to Dark Spam. But I wanted to get Virizion because of Justified, and getting the attack boost potentially could deter my opponent from wanting to use dark moves against me. So Virizion will help complement Deoxys and Starmie in that way. Also just being a really good mon on its own. It's also one of my Z users, so I could get accurate Stone Edges or, Bloom Doom or All Out Pummeling or something like that. And that'll just help it to be able to sweep or break through teams as needed. My next pick was Dragalge, and I've been wanting to use this for a while actually, and I'm glad I finally got around to doing it. Um, Adaptability is just such a good ability, and its stab combination is very unique but really good because Dragon is generally going to be pretty spammable, but having poison to hit the fairy types I would normally switch into a dragon is going to be very useful, and this thing just hits incredibly hard and is also very bulky, especially on the special side. And it gets good coverage moves like Draco and Sludge Wave as like main stab moves. Scald will help, just I could kind of spam that, potentially get some burns. Haze and Dragon Tail to deter setup. And then the main reason I grabbed Dragalge as opposed to other dragons was for Toxic Spikes. And I think those will help with Mega Kangaskhan a lot because if I can get Toxic Spikes on the field, that'll help me to be able to get a little bit more out of Fake Out from Kangaskhan because they'll be taking toxic damage and the Fake Out on top of that while they're flinched. So that's just going to help be able to pressure my opponent more and keep supporting Kangaskhan. My next pick was a Scavalier. I needed a Steel type, and this is kind of toward the end of the draft, so I had to budget a little bit. But I think a Scavalier is going to be a really good pick. It has good natural bulk, base 135 attack, which is really good. All three of its abilities are pretty solid. Um, I would expect to run Overcoat more often than not, but Swarm or Shell Armor also could potentially come. Um, and one thing that I really like about a Scavalier is that it has Drill Run, which allows it to beat other Steel types, and then it also gets like Pursuit and Knockoff, which are just good, just like general moves to have on your team because I can knock off items or take on like other ghost types, which is something that I wanted to do to help Kangaskhan to be able to spam its stab moves more. And then obviously its Iron Head and Mega Horn are just going to hit extremely hard because its attack is just so high. My next pick was a Alolan Persian, and I really needed a Dark type. And I was originally going to get Crocodile, and that got taken right before I was going to grab it. Then I was going to get Drapion, then that got taken. Then I was going to get Incineroar, and then that got taken. So I ended up having to get Alolan Persian, which I'm actually still really happy with because I think it's going to support my team really well in its own way. The main thing that I really like about it is Parting Shot, and I think that will allow mons like Thundurus or Virizion to be able to set up since it gets me momentum and lowers my opponent's attacking stats. So then that could potentially set Thundurus or something Virizion so they could set up to go for a sweep or something like that. Persian's also really fast with a base 115 speed. Fur Coat is a really good ability, just making it bulkier. And then I could even potentially run a nasty plot set or something like that, or even just spam like knockoff, just because it's so fast and I can knock off then Parting Shot and just keep momentum going that way. But I'm really happy with this pick, even though it's not exactly what I wanted out of my Dark type. But I needed one to help take on Ghosts and Psychic types. Then my last pick of the draft was Alolan Marowak, and I really wasn't sure how I felt about this pick, and I'm still not entirely sure. But based on what I was able to get, I think it was probably the best available at the time, for my team at least. And it has really good abilities in Lightning Rod to be able to switch into electric moves and not take any damage, and Rock Head so I could spam Flare Blitz without taking recoil. And Marowak has okay natural bulk, at least on the physical side. And then it has really good coverage moves also that it can hit a lot of what's going to want to come in, especially if it has a Fit Club, because that's going to make it hit extremely hard. But the main reason why I ended up going for Marowak was because of Stealth Rock. At this point in the draft, my only other rocker was Deoxys, and as good as it is at setting up rocks, I wanted to get something else just to take pressure off of Deoxys in that way, so I could do other things with it if I needed to, and that was the main reason for it too. I wanted a Ghost type and a Fire type, and I think Marowak is going to be very good. I also noticed that Kangaskhan was my only really reliable physical attacker. Virizion doesn't have tons of raw strength, and Escavalier is so slow that it may or may not be effective every week. So I wanted to get another really strong physical attacker, and Marowak filled that role as well as being able to set up rocks. So that's my team. I'm really excited for this season to start. I have never done a league quite like this before, So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes and see how some of these other Ubers or normally banned Mons end up turning out. I think it's gonna be really fun, and I'm excited for the season to start.